Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
So, got to talk about something.
What are we going to talk about?
It's kind of what we do, right? Somebody said you have a soothing voice.
The sweet sounds of Raoul, ladies and gentlemen. That's from Cable Guy.
Yes, yeah, all right, I've seen that one. So this is our 10th show. Can you believe it?
I can, because it's really tiring doing all this stuff.
You are not
day in and day out,
kidding.
and trying to build a garden, and pretend like I'm helping you over with your barn and concreting of the.
Oh, that'll be
outside
this
area.
weekend.
Yeah,
That will,
I'll be
yeah,
there.
that'll be, yeah. That's gonna, yeah. So today we sat down and did an interview with Bella Osgood at NCTV. I think it was pretty good. I can't wait to see how it comes out. Talked about our show and talked about her and her path and how she got there. And I think it was a good show. I liked it.
Impressed. I mean, I've been impressed because she interviewed us when we were running for the school board.
Yes,
And she holds herself very well, probably better than you and I when we're conducting interviews and responding. She is practicing, and it's good to see I mean, she's a junior, she'll be a senior next year, and she has a bright future ahead of her, and it's just one of the many stars that we see come out of Newport.
yeah. It's funny. The more you look, the more we've looked into things, the more we've done the show, and we're always looking for new things, right? We're looking for positive stories, we're looking for whatever we can find, and we just keep finding things. And I think Newport as a whole, we are so lucky to have the CTE program that because so many of these kids, like it's crazy. So I also think we might be trendsetters.
I wouldn't doubt it. I've been known to set a trend or two in my day.
We talk about something on the show, and then the next thing you know, something else is happening that we talked about. So I had said yesterday, I was like, okay, so at the selectmen's meeting, if the pothole's not filled, I'm going to bring a tire in a tub that's 4 inches deep, and I'm going to like go off on the selectmen. Like, this is ridiculous. So then on What's Up Newport, Maple Street paving. Asphalt plants are now opening. By the end of May, potholes and depressions on Maple Street will be filled, and the road will be paved from curb to curb from the intersection of South Main to the fork and Bradford Road.
Well, that's good, but that one pothole in particular that is dangerous, are they going to address it or put like some safety cones around it?
I don't think so. So I don't think I need to go in and set the whole, like,
Right.
do the whole.
They have a plan.
Yes. So now
They
I just need to
published the
say,
plan.
hey, you need to fix that one pothole, like, now, because that's a dangerous pothole. And then, yay, you're paving it. That's awesome. Completely understand.
I would suspect they'd have it paved once it's
Yeah.
up and running on Monday, if not, and roped off, just because as a motorcycle rider, or as you like to call it, a bike rider, I think of a bike
Harley.
as-
Harley Davidson.
He drives a Harley, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, Harley Davidson.
My brother used to have a Harley. He doesn't like me talking about him, but Rob had a Harley back in the day.
He did?
He did. I wish I could tell you what kind it was, a softback or something. I don't know. It was nice. It was cool looking.
What happened to it?
He sold it, I think, when he was in Hawaii. He put more of his information out there. But, he had a Harley. Just getting in trouble with everybody today.
I noticed when you came out, I was like, oh, man. You could just tell Steve's off today, and that's never good.
I feel like I'm on fire.
That could be. Maybe this is the best thing. People get you mad and we'll do the show that way. That works too. They already see me all angry. Let's see Steve angry.
I don't get angry. I get frustrated. I bark for a second, and then I regret that I raised my voice slightly or very loudly, and then I fix and find the solution to whatever problem is upsetting me.
So yesterday's show, yesterday's show. I'm getting all confused. We had a comment on YouTube. Said great show. That was great to see.
Yeah, and we don't get comments usually because if we don't talk about anything risque, so to speak, then when I upload it, I put, it's made for kids unless we say something that.
Yesterday's was made for kids. I was just going off about everything, and
Yeah, but there are certain topics that I
Yes.
just, as a parent, even though some parents will have conversations with their kids, some things we talk about, maybe not ready
Yeah, that's fine.
with a made for kids tag.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's cool. Our car nut show had like 35 views and hasn't even been up like a whole day yet. So that's pretty cool too. Can't wait to go back. Figured out how to work the camera now, so the mic will work like it's supposed to.
Yeah, we'll get some growing pains.
Yeah,
It looked cool though, all of us holding the mic, acting like we're talking into it, and we forgot to press a button on the camera.
yeah. You got to turn something else on that I didn't
I
think you
don't
had to
think
turn
we actually
on.
forgot. We didn't know.
That's
So
true.
When I say forgot, we just
Yeah.
didn't know that.
We forgot to learn how to use it before we tried to use it.
It's a learning progress, a learning process.
So we've already covered potholes. So maybe this will get the potholes fixed in town. We'll figure it
And we
out.
can feel good about ourselves and pretend that we had something to do with it. But it
Right.
also might have been your Facebook Live that
It could have been.
got a lot of feedback.
Or it could have been the comment when we said we were going to plant a tree in it.
It could have been.
That might have been like, hey, we can't have trees in the road. So school news. Today, school board, 5 o'clock. Be there.
Or go to the chorus concert.
Or the track meet. Yes.
Are there baseball games?
I don't know. I didn't get that far. I think they're
I mean, there's
middle
a
school.
lot of stuff going on, but
I
the
think
school board is there if you have time to come out and
Yes, if you're one of those people on Facebook that are so concerned about the school, then this is your opportunity to show up. And I also want to point out that these people that are so concerned about the school, we had 1,298 votes for town meeting day, and we had 400 roughly less for the school. So, kind of doesn't fit the concerned.
yeah, some people when they're trying to win an argument or a debate will start pulling different ideas
From
to
the
try to
backside and
Well, let's hope that they show up. If not to the school board meetings, to the deliberative session next year, and support the school.
we'll see.
Feedback, positive or negative, prefer positive, but sometimes we need to be told if there's a blind spot, to hide from it is not good. You need to address it head on, fix it, set a goal, move forward, and based on the comments that you showed me and told me about on Facebook, there should be some more engagement from the community, at least at the deliberative session next year, in support of raising taxes for the school. The way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean those are the comments, and then also I'm going to mention tonight.
So I mean, that's not 600 people. It's probably about
Well, yeah, no.
10 or 20 or
Yeah. No, it's not. Yeah, yes,
Right.
correct. So yeah, and I'm going to mention tonight.
Mr. Realist here. Gotta
Yeah,
bring it down.
let's make sure the
Got a
numbers
lot
are
of
right.
hyperbole.
We keep talking about how we speak the facts. Let's make sure we're close. So tonight I'm going to mention the 5 o'clock time again because I believe it's ridiculous. People can't go to that when they're trying to get dinner for their kids or whatever when it's 5 o'clock. Like a lot of people work to 5 o'clock. So 6:30 is the time that all the other meetings are in town, and I think that's when that should be where it is. And if that doesn't work for some of the board members, then maybe they shouldn't be board members.
Well, I won't address that, but what I will say is that if you want, and the town wants the meetings, then come out and encourage the board, because again, I can't speak for anybody but myself, but come out and take 30 seconds to say, I support this. It doesn't have to be long, drawn out, or anything else.
Yeah, just show up. That'd be
Show
nice.
up.
Just sit there in a chair.
Sign up. You
Yeah.
get time to speak, and if more than you wants it after 5 o'clock, it might get some traction. It should get traction, right?
It's been said before, though.
Yeah, it has.
Jeff Kessler came and talked about it. It's been spoken about. Supposedly it only changed because of COVID, but apparently they didn't change it back. I don't know. COVID doesn't come out after a certain time or before or something. I guess I still haven't quite figured that one out yet. But yeah, so that's one thing I'm going to mention, and then we got our donation for wearing our tutus. So we're still trying to figure out how we're gonna do that. But we got Jeff Miller coming up later on the show, and he's gonna talk some sports. He's always talking school stuff. I love when Jeff comes in because it's you think you're just gonna get sports and that's it, but he has such an insight to the school because, like myself, he's graduated from Newport, and now he teaches in Newport and is a part-time athletic director. So excited about that. Chief Wilmot's coming in tomorrow.
Be interesting and exciting.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Oh, we gotta queue up in the Northwoods.
Are you gonna throw me under the bus again? Can you try throwing me under the bus? Someone that doesn't have handcuffs.
Andrea, do you know that I have your generator?
She does. She told me.
Oh,
She's
she
like,
watched the show.
she's like, oh, I know. I'm like, okay. Do you want to call the IRS on me?
No,
Okay, that's cool.
I'm not a big fan of taxes.
No, let's not go there. So, I love this because the way it's written is just perfect. Splish Splash will give your car a bath at Irvin not this Saturday, the following Saturday, May 21st from 10 to 1, and it's for the class of 2025. And I think it's a donation-based thing, or I don't know what they're charging, but so if you need to get your car washed and you want to help raise money for the class of 2025, jump on out there and swing in, get your car
Plus
washed.
the freshmen going to be sophomores next year.
Yes.
Emilio's class.
Yeah.
Is he going to be there washing cars?
I wouldn't put money on it. He might have a baseball game though.
or something.
But even most of
I
my
can't
kids.
believe it's already been 3 years since Zayden and them had their car wash. Time flies.
It's crazy. Yeah, Emilio's the one that he's the sports kid, but as far as the extra stuff, no. I mean, if he's in school and you need help, or
You get him out of class.
He's that kid. Yeah, like he's that kid. He's the kid that breaks up a fight, and Miss Martin called one day, want to talk about Emilio, and we just instantly, sorry Emilio, but we're first thinking like, oh, what did he do? Oh, we just want to let you know he broke up a fight today, or made it not happen, or whatever. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. This was a little while ago. This wasn't just recently, but so yeah.
That makes you proud.
Yeah. So I doubt he'd be washing your car, but there will be a lot of people down there. Support your class 2025, freshman class. And I just like Splish Splash. We'll give your car a bath. Like that right there is creative, and that makes me just want to bring the car down. But that's prom day, and I don't know if I told you yet, but you have to go to Boston with me to pick up a car for Alicia's prom. Did I tell you that yet?
You didn't tell me the.
I mean, did I ask you that yet?
You didn't tell me the date and time.
Oh, okay. Let's avoid that right now. Something really exciting that I love, and this is the first time you've seen this, and it's been out, I think, 2 other times now. But so the Newport Times, it gets mailed to everybody. Love this paper. Love it, love it, love it. It's all about Newport. It's all positive. There's nothing, negative in there. And it's written from, there's Alicia and Riley Scarin and Bryce Ashley right here on the front. And then inside here, there was, I believe it was Tommy Spiker was in here as well. And it was about their internships that they did. Yep, right there, Tommy Spiker. And yeah, those are so it was a business class, and they all did. I know Alicia's internship was at LaValle's. I don't know where the 3 were, but just more great stuff happening with the CTE. We talked about it with Miller before, on air, off air. The CTE seems to be like, it's like the heartbeat of the school. It seems like that's really, we talked about that a lot with our interview earlier with Bella, and like that's part of the CTE. Like it's all part of CTE. And so like shout out to these kids that are really positive and making a big impact in our school and in our community. So yeah, this gets mailed to everybody, and I don't know if you can. I know you can pick it up at the town office too, but check it out. Tons of stories in here. Some of them are
events. I saw.
Yeah, Riley has been writing some of these too. So there's a lot of different people in there that are writing, and I know last I don't know which edition, I guess you'll say. And I guess I was arguing with Andrew. I'm like, nah, they're not every 2 months, but I was wrong. They come out every 2 months. So this is for May and June. So then I guess there'll be a July and August one. So really cool. Newport Times.
It was established in January of 2022.
Yes. I kind of knew that part, but the every 2 month thing, it was a disagreement, and I was wrong.
It happens.
It happens a lot. So we have, like I said, we have Jeff Miller coming up here shortly. What else is going on? Anything exciting? Gorgeous day,
Beautiful day.
gorgeous
Clear
weather. Like
skies,
it's
warm.
yeah, it's awesome. Supposed to be 80 today, 80 Friday, or close to 80 today, and 80 Friday, and like over the weekend. So it's supposed to be really nice. It's quite the change though. I'm like, I feel like I'm getting a sunburn already. I was up to the barn earlier and was fixing the water line, and I was out in the sun, and it's like, ooh, it's getting warm out here real quick, but I can't complain. It's not raining, it's not snow, so
Yeah, it's beautiful. I did not really get outside to work today. I wanted to get some of those fence posts off your trailer so you get your trailer back. But I did get a tamper and I got a garden fork and some string. So I got some supplies purchased. I went out and checked my brother's heater out.
yeah. How'd that go?
Not very good.
No,
No, still not fixed.
oh, that's unfortunate. We won't talk about the company.
Yeah, I won't.
I will say that if you want your heating stuff fixed or you want your plumbing, you got to get a local company. Now, this is a local company, but it's a very, very big company. And unfortunately, a lot of times when companies get big, they lose that sense of like the customer and you being important, and you kind of become like a number in a way. And so my recommendation was like, hey, get a local company. It's in there, your brother's house in New London, but I know there's a couple places here in town that are really good that you could say, hey, you come out and do this. I mean, you'll have to set it up because
Right.
I don't know if you weren't sure if it was oil or gas or whatever, but I know a lot of the gas stuff, it has to be the company that puts the gas in it to hook to it, just for like safety reasons and stuff. But that would be my recommendation. I know a lot of people, and I've used a company that you're having issues with right now in the past, and I've had some good experiences, but unfortunately, you never know who you're going to get. Where if you get like a small company that's local here, you kind of always know who you're going to get. You call the office, you speak to the same person every time. And some of these bigger companies, it's like you're just a number. So
Yeah, it's so sad to see it that way. And then if you get upset with the way that they treat you, then they act like you're a jerk and you're the one who's wrong.
yeah, your brother.
They have a slang term for that. I won't say it because it's my mother's name, but so like if you go and
That's your mother's name?
Yep.
Oh no, we can never use that word.
I know I said it one time and she took offense to it.
I bet. And she watches the show. So let's
Yes,
skip
so
right over
we'll
this.
skip right over that.
She's like one of our 20 listeners, so
We have 30
30
plus
ish.
subscribers.
Well, we got like 40. I think we're at 44 subscribers on YouTube, but
But
we're at like
we're getting some feedback though. Every time we
Yeah.
talk to somebody and we take it and we listen to it, and there'll be changes gradually made as our equipment we figured out and sorted out. We just wanted to jump right in here and get out with the positive news of the town.
yeah, and we got so the computer come yesterday, and it's way faster. Plus, we changed the setting on the camera. We didn't need to do 4K, so we'll just do HD, which
Yeah,
means
4K shows every blemish.
yeah, we don't need a 4K anything. So we changed that, so it's gonna be faster, which is great. So, yeah, we're trying to segment
Allegedly,
allegedly.
faster.
That's right. Today's word of the day.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. $50 gas card, people. You still have today, tomorrow, and then you have to get it to us by Sunday night. All you have to do is message it to us. If you want to wait until the end of the week, which I really hope a lot of you are, because right now I still have one person that's actually messaged 2 of the days.
Oh, that's great though. They did 2 days.
Yes, it's great, but kind of hoping more than one person listens. I mean, besides your folks and, our kids, like I'm kind of hoping it's just more than that, but
Well, they'll come as we improve, and we had talked about we're gonna start making some segmented stuff so that if
Yes.
they don't want to listen to me and you pontificate about whatever hot topic of the day,
big words, pontificate.
that could always be well.
It could be, but I don't even know how to spell it.
That's the beauty part, though. That's when you make the word of the day something hard like that. Not hard, but
We have like a very limited amount of listeners. We should probably make it really simple.
think about.
Think about.
I'll say that instead of pontificate.
Yeah, there you go.
My dad taught me a word a month or two ago. He said goozle, and I was like, "Do you mean Google?" He said, "No, goozle."
The hell's that mean?
It's like guzzle, but it's an older word. It checks out. It's like from Star Wars, where it's an older code, but it checks out. So I looked it up in the dictionary, and it's a word.
Listen, I got to be careful with fancy words because, Facebook doesn't like any sort of stuff like that. So keep it real.
That's an interesting story I could tell sometime.
How long's the story?
A couple minutes. So when we were sitting around as kids, if we used a word and we didn't use it properly in a sentence, or my dad had never heard of the word, if it was a slang word, if we couldn't show it to him in the dictionary, we weren't allowed to use it. So but it helped us learn vocabulary.
So we used to use the word in school a lot. We'd say ain't. And we have teachers who'd be like, that's not a word. You can't use it.
They made it a word a couple years
They
ago.
did make it a word.
I bet all of our old English teachers were
Yes.
crawling in their skin when they did that.
I think it was Mrs. Susie was the one that was like so anal about it, like can't use that word. And then what do? We just make the word a word.
I know.
All right, guys. So Jeff Miller coming up here in a few minutes. School board tonight. Track meet tonight. Chorus concert. That's tonight, right? Yes.
Yep.
Tonight.
6 o'clock and
6
7 o'clock.
and 7 at the Opera House. Yeah, I think that wraps everything up. I was trying to...
Didn't you say, though, you wanted me to call you out on something? Didn't you say, do you have anything else you want to call me out on earlier, about a couple minutes ago?
All right.
So if you stay tuned for the interview with Jeff Miller, check out Tim's Guns, because he's putting on the gun show, baby.
It was hot out. Where to go from there?
I mean, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, like don't spoil it.
It's good.
So if you haven't noticed, we did the show backwards today. Jeff had to come in because Jeff's schedule is not as open as our schedule. So we're shooting the beginning of the show after that part. We kind of the beauty in editing. But yes, I was
For
wearing...
continuity's purposes, I kept on the same clothing.
It is pink.
A little pink.
The tutu. That's what it was, wasn't it? Now you like pink.
No, my brother gave me this.
Oh, and you and your brother are kind of feuding right now. So like, I'll wear the shirt you gave me.
Yeah, well,
You got a different hat on too.
It's the same hat I had, but it's different from yesterday. But
Right.
yeah. I'm running out of hats now. I went down to the basement today, and I couldn't find my box of hats. I may have to go to the store this weekend.
Because this is the 10th show. That means 10 hats. So
I have at least 12 to 14, but
we're going to find out how many hats Steve has. Just stay tuned and keep watching the show. Thanks to Twin State Paving for tolerating this. And she hasn't messaged me yet to say that we're doing a horrible job and to cancel this whole thing. So appreciate those guys. And once again, if you're going to get your driveway paved this year, you're going to want to reach out soon and get on the schedule because that fills up real quick. So they've been working. It's funny, the Newport asphalt plant's opening on Monday, but I think they've been working for like a month now. Like they start right up. Like as soon as you can start paving, they pave because the window for that kind of work is really tight. So
you gotta make your money while you can.
Yes, exactly.
Maximize it.
And they work. That's crazy. Like they're constantly working. And
yeah, I think I saw a sign too. They're sponsoring something else going on in town. I think I can't remember what it was, but I was like,
yeah,
that's awesome. That's good. They're in the community. Appreciate their support for this show.
Absolutely. Once again, make sure you check out your mailbox for the Newport Times. This thing is really awesome and some great stories in here. And you never know. You can see your kids in here because there's so many things in there. So
yeah, they cover all the schools. The middle school's in there, the elementary school,
yeah,
high school, CTE.
Hey, if we get this big enough, maybe we'll get a section. You can write it though because you're A+ and I'm incomplete.
I don't know about
You'll
that.
never live that down. All right, guys, we'll be up here with Jeff Miller here in just a minute. And, yeah, we'll see you shortly. Hey, welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. It's Miller time. Jeff Miller's in the house.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Busy week.
It seems it, huh?
They're all busy right now. This is the busiest AD month for me, I think, is May because it's a condensed season and we have so many things going on and so many senior events and other school end of year stuff. So it's a fun time, but it goes by in a blur.
I bet. Is this a kind of wind down for you, or is it like really just picked up and then you'll finally hit that point where it's like, hey, the year's over. Now we can focus on next year?
Well, our new season pretty much starts July 1st, a new school year. So right now there's a bunch of things I'm, preparing different things that we need to get approved by administration for next year's athletic budget.
Right.
So now is like June, once we get out, that's the key time to, who's getting new uniforms. There are certain things built in costs that come out like, we have to send out all the football equipment at the end of the season, and it goes and they have to recondition the helmets. They check them. Helmets are good for 5-6 years, and they have to come back with a sticker on them every year that they've been reconditioned. That's all the padding has been checked. They put them on a computer to look at 3D angles and stuff, and we send the shoulder pads out. If anything's broken, they fix them, and that's why football is an expensive sport. I mean, we have the equipment. I mean, most of those helmets are anywhere between $300 to $500 a piece. So
Wow.
Money well spent, though.
yeah, and things are so much safer now, and everything like with the whole concussion piece. Like I remember when I played, you'd get hit, come off the field. I mean, I got completely knocked out one time and was laying on the field. It was back then we used to have just a freshman team. We had a freshman, a JV, and a varsity.
Huh.
And we had 14 kids on my freshman team, so we pretty much played two-way. And Larry Carl was the longtime varsity coach here. At that time was the freshman coach. And there were no talk about concussions or anything. And he got in the med kit and got one of the things, the old smelling salts like that. And I perked up, and all I saw was stars. And he goes, "Hey, how you feeling?" And I go, "I feel great, coach." He goes, "Oh, it's good because I need you. You need to go back in." And I mean, I had a concussion. I mean, I was going over the middle to catch a pass, and I got just lit right up. Never been hit that hard in my entire life. I mean, I was completely knocked out.
Wow.
I'm sure it was a helmet-to-helmet hit, but
Right.
they didn't have that. I mean, and like on defense back then, you could still, date myself, you could still, on the defensive line, at the snap of the ball, you could give the offensive lineman in front of you a head slap. So you could slap them right on top of the helmet, which is what you used to do to the center.
Wow.
Because the centers, got their head down, and you just, and
Drive them into the ground.
you just drive them into the ground. And so it's, things have changed to the point where now, there are times if there's any type of a head injury, I have to, if I see it, suspect it, I have to pull the kid and they can't go back in. And, it hasn't happened. It happened at first, when we first started doing concussion stuff, where I would have parents come and say, "Listen, my kid's fine. He can go back in the game." And I said, he can't.
Right.
And I know, when I was still in the newspaper business, I was over covering a Kearsarge game. What they used to do, because they have an athletic trainer, is once they pulled a kid off, they would take the helmet and then drive the helmet up to the school and lock it inside. Because helmets are fitted for a player.
Right.
So you just can't go grab another helmet. Because parents were like, because it was all new. And we were one of the first schools that went through this whole concussion protocol. And I've sat down completely fine and tried to take the test, and it's difficult. It's all a reaction. And Nurse Healy's been doing it so long that she can tell by looking at the scores. She can say, when, even before she sends it, because it goes to a doctor at Dartmouth, even before it goes, she'll go, yep, they're going in the protocol because they take a baseline, and then it's the same exact test that they take, and you can see the difference. The times are just, they're so much slower reacting. You can tell when somebody has a head injury, and it's definitely an undefined science when it comes to this, because you might get hit on the head harder than me, but my head injury is worse than yours.
Right. Right.
Just happens. You just never know. So it's gotten to a point where you can't take a chance.
And concussions are pretty scary because Lydia was playing basketball and got a concussion, and it was like we were pretty scared. And we got like back towards Newport, and I was like, I'm gonna just call the ambulance, have them come bring her, because we knew for a fact she had it because she was repeating herself, and she was like so out of it, and it's scary. I was like,
You can tell.
And she's like, I can go back in the game. I'm like, oh no, you're not going back in the game. I can clearly tell. I convinced her that she flew, hit the roof, and she's like, I flew. I'm like, yeah. She's like, probably not a good thing to do as a parent, but it was funny.
Yeah, I mean, it was
You're
scary.
trying to prove a point to her.
Exactly
You're
that.
me. You're
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just such a scary thing when you get that, and somebody's, that they, you can tell just by looking at them a lot of times.
Yeah, a lot of times they especially repeat themselves, and they'll just repeat them. I wrecked my race car once, and guy was like sitting next to him, and he's like, "What happened?" And I just told him, and then a minute later, he's like, "So what happened?" I'm like, "You need to get him checked out. He's not okay. He definitely has a concussion." So, but it's good that that's in there now. Like I'm sure, like I think football's gotten obviously less. They've taken a lot out of it, but
the thing is, if you look at the statistics, there's less concussions in football than there are in a lot of other sports. There's a lot of concussions, believe it or not, in soccer, just hitting a soccer ball.
soccer is
Another sport that is spirit and cheerleading, because it's gotten to this a lot of dance and a lot of fancy and flips, and kids get dropped all the time. And
right.
I mean, we had one year we had to not go to the state competition because we had 3 or 4 girls that all had concussions at the same time
Wow.
because of injuries in practices. This was before I was the AD. I was, coaching at the school, and it was like, whoa, we need to make sure that, and they've upped that sport as well with all the training that the coaches have to go through.
Right.
They have to go through a comprehensive program that, so that they make sure that they spot the right way, and it's not like you used to be able to do and just, hey, flip her up in the air, and
Right.
so. But there's been a lot, and there are the people that say that it's overdone, but
That's for safety.
I would hate to just take that thought and let somebody play and then have them, collapse with a seizure on the way home because we didn't stop them from playing. I'd rather them be perfectly safe and have the parent yell and scream at me and say that you didn't need to do that than have one kid get hurt.
Right.
How long do they have to sit out if they're?
It varies. It varies. It usually goes with, no, they're supposed to stay off social media, any of that. Then they're supposed to sit and, quiet. Then they can after a couple days, they can start to come back to school. Usually what they do for Nurse Healy is they ride a stationary bike so that they're getting exertion. Then they take the test again.
Interesting.
And if the test is back to what their baseline scores were, then they can be put on a system where they have a couple of days of no contact practice, then a day of what would be called contact practice, and then they could go back to playing games. But it varies. There are kids that are back within a week, and there are kids that are out a month because they just, and then, there are ways that there are some kids that just never score well even taking a baseline when they're perfectly healthy. And it's hard to read on some of those kids. But they've made changes in the test to accommodate, I believe, for stuff like ADHD and, because you've got to pretty much, I think it's my phone.
I was like,
game day.
Whose phone's ringing? So you have some beautiful new bleachers down there at the football field.
Yeah, those are nice.
Those are nice. And is it next year supposedly going to move the tower back? Is that the plan? Or that's what I've heard anyways.
I haven't heard that. So, again, I'm hearing this from,
So it could just be a rumor.
You've got me.
Does it block the field right now when you're sitting in
Yeah,
the stands?
because originally when the tower was put in, there was no track. So the stands were closer. And, obviously it's evolved, there's a track. And so, like when I would go there, I'd sit on the old bleachers, the bigger set of bleachers, and you just stay away in a corner. You can see everything. But if you're over to the left, you miss like that end down there. So the big new ones are going to be this similar, I think, like if you're way to the right.
Yep.
But someone said something about trying to move the tower back. I think Kevin O'Nella talked about that or something. I don't know. I remember hearing it.
It's been discussed, I think, but, I don't know.
It'd probably be very hard to do. I mean, that building's been there a long time. And
Well, the building needs some
TLC.
and I know that Rodney Page at the maintenance, who guy does wonders. It's in his, to do some things to fix that. I mean, the new thing that he built over the Connex on the other side,
Yep.
that's going to have dual purpose. That's, for NCTV to get up there to film football, track, field hockey, but it'll also give a space for visiting football coaches to go up because it's so small in there. And like I've been on the air with Steve Smith doing football games, and there'll be an opposing coach there, and they're talking in their he's got to hit that bleeping guy, and it goes over the air, and Steve can get in trouble for that.
Right.
So,
No, absolutely.
Steve's had to tell them, please, you can't. And sometimes they get a little testy, and then I'll usually say, you need to stop, and then they'll give me well, who are you? And then usually when I tell them who I am, and I said, you'll stop or you won't be in here, they're usually fine with that. And then coaching staffs are, they think they're trying to steal each other's plays. So, they act like little kids sometimes. So
Kind of like babysitting.
So this way they, if it were a bigger press box, like, when we've played at like Monadnock,
Right.
Steve and I have our own little booth
Right.
for games, and like, they're basically separate rooms so you can't hear, so coaches have spots, but this one isn't as big. It's not big enough. I mean, we have to have the spot for Tim Spanis to run the clock.
Yep.
Which that's another thing. Any people who want to run clocks and do stuff like that, I need people desperately because and somebody to train because it's complicated. You've got to be able to do a varsity football game. Tim's an old fossil, so he's done it since the beginning of time. So he's an old veteran. He can do it in his sleep.
Right.
But there's a possibility coming soon that basketball games we're gonna add a shot clock. It's coming down the road. It's inevitable, and that's gonna be another person I'm gonna have to pay with a particular. They're gonna have to be trained on how to run the shot clock, when to reset the shot clock. So and just even the scoreboard.
Right.
It's crazy, all these little added things. It was great here, keeping the scorebook for basketball. Mr. Thurlow did it for 35 to 40 years. You didn't have to worry about it.
Right.
It's like if Tim gets sick and can't do a game, I can run the clock, but I do some basketball games, and usually once or twice a game, there are parents and coaches and everybody screaming at me, sometimes my own, because I've got to start the clock because I'm watching the game.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're like distracted and like, man, I have a job I got to do now.
So it's, PJ can run clocks. So I have him in. So that's another thing. Plug anybody that and bus drivers that want to drive athletic trips.
Yeah. So the last visit and this visit, you need bus drivers. You need referees, not you, but like we need them in the state, in the area. So
Yeah.
there's an opportunity, somebody
Yeah.
to earn some money. And you need clock runners.
People that want to do that. I mean,
and
you know,
videographers.
we have money in the budget to pay. They usually get like $25 a game or something like that, and it's great. I've got this guy who's doing all the middle school games.
I was just going to mention that.
He was in Massachusetts for
Yep.
45 years,
He's good.
and he won't take any money. He just wants to do the games,
That's awesome.
and he's more than a middle school official.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've watched 2 or maybe 3 games with him, and no, he's really good. He's very fair. One of the girls will look back and like, that wasn't a strike. I'm like, it was a strike. So, focus on the next pitch. And
He's very consistent.
he is, and he's
So
very.
if it's 2 inches outside,
Yep.
every time it's 2 inches outside, he's calling a strike.
Yep.
So if that's your third strike, you better swing.
Yes.
Don't go, well, it was 2 inches outside. Well, he's been calling that all game.
Right. The biggest thing with umps is consistency.
Consistency, yeah.
Yeah, maybe for this ump, the strike zone ends up here. That's fine. As long as you know that, and it's
Right.
the same for everybody.
I don't
It's like
mind.
that baseball game you and I were at. It was, I don't know, it was maybe more than 2 inches on the outside.
Right.
But he called it both ways, and
Yeah.
clearly from where we were sitting, it looked like it'd be a ball. But he called it both teams, and we knew every time the pitcher on the other team threw it.
It's up to the coach to tell their kids you've got to adjust.
Right.
If the strike zone is the waist to the ankles, if it comes across here, don't swing. It's a ball. If they're consistent, but if it's at your ankles, you better be swinging if you've got 2 strikes.
Right. Right.
And kids sometimes don't adjust. I'd rather have a bigger strike zone than a smaller one. Middle school, high school, anything.
You're not kidding. And it's funny the step up between middle school softball to varsity. Huge.
Right, like we have
Huge.
a fantastic game today.
Yep.
Varsity softball. Monadnock is one of the top, probably 4 programs in our division. We like to think we could be a top 4 program. We're young, freshmen and sophomores, playing Monadnock today. It should be a fantastic game. Baseball, which has been struggling, is playing Monadnock too, who is the defending champion and the heavy favorite to repeat. So, but their coach is a great guy, and he's not going to be the kind of guy to, But they're
We're still undefeated, the girls are?
Yeah.
Nice.
tough week this week. This game today, and then they've got the doubleheader rivalry with Stevens.
Yep.
Supposed to be beautiful weather.
Yes.
Hopefully, plug for Stevens. I know they'll have their concession stand going, I believe, at the baseball game. So
Bring some cash.
yeah,
Yeah, Steve. Bring cash.
it's gonna be a fun night.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
No.
Yeah, Emilio was. I told him, I was like, well, I might go to one of the softball games, and then he's like, why would you do that? I'm like, because I want to go watch the game. Like, I watch you play all the time. Like, softball's more entertaining than baseball, anyways, in my opinion. Like, I'd rather, like, when the girls play softball, I'd rather do that. Like, baseball's fun, but sometimes it gets boring, and it seems like the pace is slower.
Right, and you know what I found locally? Most of our girls who play softball also play out-of-season travel ball.
Yep,
Our baseball players do not.
exactly.
So you see better fundamental play from our girls.
Yep.
Our young infield with 3 freshmen and a sophomore is as good an infield defensively as I've seen Newport have since I can, I go back to the 70s.
Yeah.
They are fantastic.
They're
High
good.
praise.
They
It's-
play really tough defense.
All these girls, all they do is play, and they've done it for a couple years now. And
You know.
it's funny because I would challenge any, and I tell this to Emilio, and he gets all upset. I'm like, you can bring any varsity boy down here and go up against this softball pitcher, and I guarantee that you ain't gonna hit it. But if they went down and hit the ball down there, they'd probably hit. Like, these girls are incredible, insane.
The other thing, these girls who play softball, they know how to bunt.
right?
Boys don't know how to bunt anymore.
No, they don't really do it.
They don't watch baseball because, frankly, Speaking at a national level, Major League Baseball hasn't really done anything to make it watchable.
Right.
They've got to stop these pitchers from taking 30 minutes between pitches and batters taking a hike between pitches. Get in there, throw the pitches, speed the game up,
Right.
and go.
Stop cheating.
Astros.
Yeah,
Astros.
and I know that I have
Red
mixed.
Sox, Yankees.
I mean,
allegedly.
I have kind of mixed thoughts on that, being an old baseball guy, because there are so many players that are in the Hall of Fame. Like one comes to mind, Gaylord Perry, as a pitcher. I mean, all he did was throw basically spitballs. So he was loading up a baseball all the time. And then you have most everybody's heard of Ty Cobb, who was such a nasty human being and individual. He used to sharpen his spikes and try to spike people when he'd slide into second base.
Wow.
And he's one of the best hitters of all time.
Well, didn't Mark Grace say for baseball, if you're not cheating, you're not trying?
Yeah, I mean it's part of the game. Like
He played for the Cubs. When he said that.
Stuff
Chicago.
that like the Astros and the Yankees, and if they were doing some of that stuff with video cheating, I don't. But like if I'm a runner on second base and I can see the catcher giving signs, and I tap my head to the batter, that I said, I think this is a curveball or whatever. We all did it in Babe Ruth. We did it in Little League. We did it in high school.
That's fair game.
That's fair, but they even want to stop that stuff now.
That's
Really?
crazy.
And that, to me, that's part of the game.
Yeah, I think that's part of the
If
game.
you're stupid enough to let somebody see the signals you're giving, or if you haven't changed things up, but
Now they got the
Again.
little calm things. I watched a couple Red Sox, quite a few Red Sox games actually this year. And
Yeah.
they're doing horrible, by the way.
Oh.
But they have these calms, so they'll I don't know if they're pushing a button or what they're
pushing
doing.
a button, and I
Yeah.
think
And
they
it-
wear
So
something.
it's like
Yes.
the football, how the quarterback.
Kind of like that,
I
but
hate all that
it
stuff.
hasn't been working. It's been like several times where they had to go out, slow the game down again. Their calm's not working. I'm like, just throw the ball,
Right.
Like,
I know.
just play the game. And you're not worth $100 million.
Oh, it's amazing what people make.
Isn't it?
It's crazy.
So what else is new and exciting?
Oh, I'm trying to think. I know we're in the. Yesterday at the CVC qualifier
Yes.
in Windsor, Taylor Fellows, a freshman, broke the 800-meter girls' school record, which had been around since 1984,
Wow.
which was Colleen Halleck at the time. I don't know, a lot of people know Glenn Halleck, who still lives in town. It's his sister. It was a, long-standing 800 record. I think hers was like 229 something, and I think Taylor might have gone 227 something, 228.
Wow.
She's a freshman, so I think she's going to really
Big things coming
bust
from
through
her.
that record, but the tandem duo of her and PJ's daughter Maddox
Yep.
is, they're pretty special. They're worth going to watch them run at a track meet, and he's going to have them for 4 years, which there is a home, well, it's not really a home track meet tomorrow. It's a meet at home, but Sunapee is running the meet. Every year we let
Oh, okay.
Sunapee run a meet. We always go. We always do it in between the CVC qualifier and the CVC final, because I think PJ had 4 or 5 kids qualify for Saturday. It's kind of tough to qualify. So this gives the kids that didn't qualify another meet, and it gives him the opportunity for his kids that do qualify. A lot of times they try another event and do something. And the problem is when he uses Taylor and Maddox in another event they've never done, they do it and they're really good at it. So
That's awesome.
That is
fun.
awesome.
Yeah, so that's going to be the senior.
Senior meet,
Recognition.
yeah, that's right. Because Zeta, you talked about your daughter. She asked me today if I was going to be there, and I said, I don't know, because I've got an out-of-town scheduling meeting tomorrow for next year, and it's probably going to take You know, I'll probably be there till 4 or 5 o'clock, so I may not make it back. But the goal is to try to get back as quick as I can, so that I can. Because she made a face at me when I said I wasn't going to be there.
Steve,
But she had a disappointing meet yesterday at Windsor with the javelin, which is her best event.
Yeah, it's.
I was talking about it before we came up here, and she just
It's
she
such
usually
a hard,
throws way
yeah.
further than what she threw yesterday. She's just disappointed that.
Yeah, I know. It's, that's the thing with track. It's such an individual sport. There's one day you'll go out and you'll throw, no problem at all. Then the next day you go out, you do everything the same, and
Man, just one little
20
thing.
feet shorter.
That's about what it was for her.
And it's
yesterday. I don't know
like-
if it was that much, but it was pretty short.
What am I doing? Sometimes you don't know what you're doing. And, I never participated in track, but I coached track for several years. And, I took a lot of clinics and things like that. So I kind of came into it a little differently. And of course, you can always, somebody does something like that different in Newport, you can always thank PJ for that, because he's the one who, he wrote me in. He said, I just need an assistant coach. He had a paid position when I was first teaching. He said, I go, PJ, I'm a baseball guy. And he's like, oh, you'll be fine. I just need somebody. So then I come in, and then, with the way the family, this was, 10, 12 years ago, his family was changing. The next year he goes, I don't think I can do it this year. So he says, you're going to do it. And he said, I'll come down and help you out, which fortunately he did. But all of a sudden I'm a head track coach and I have no business being one, and I just got an education from him. I went to clinics, I did stuff, and, I know enough about track to get me in trouble, but I don't know enough to fix some of the problems.
right.
That's when and like PJ, I mean, he won a championship last year because he made a really smart, strategic move, because it was a bad weather day, and that's why he likes to get, you can compete in 4 events in a meet, but he likes it when he has athletes that might qualify in 5, 6, 7 events, because then he can kind of mix and match them into events and matchups and ones he thinks, because it's all about trying to get a number of points. And the D3 state meet last year was at Guilford, and it was during the week, and they don't have lights, and there were thunder showers coming. So instead of just saying, listen, we're going to get what we can get, because athletes are supposed to have a certain amount of time of rest between events. Well, the officials were rushing kids. So he had his 2 twins. Jagger had won a couple of events, and then he was going into the 200, which was late in the meet, which is his best event, but he didn't get his time to rest. So PJ knew he was gassed, and he thought that might happen ahead of time, because you have to register a couple days ahead for the events. So he just, on the off chance, he took Ryder out of an event and stuck him in that one as well. Jagger was ranked first in it, and I think Ryder was ranked like 4th. Well, Jagger was gassed. He ended up finishing, I think, 5th or 6th. But Ryder knew he had to do well, and he ran the race of his life, and he won that. And it was, we ended up beating Kearsarge by 2 points.
Uh-huh.
If he doesn't improve his position in that event, they don't win the state championship.
Wow. It's a lot of strategy to.
You got to plan, you got to, add up stuff, and you got to know by looking, because, we see a lot of the other kids in events, and he made that move. A lot of coaches never would have thought that far ahead to make that move.
Right.
And that's the reason why he won the first, that was the first track championship in 63 years. So
Wow.
That's awesome.
We got to talk to PJ, because we should go down there and we can record it. I want to throw the javelin.
Oh, I thought you were going to get racing tips for the.
You need to
5K.
throw the discus. Have him show you, really get a good spin going. You look like a discus guy.
Probably like stumble over, fall
You got the hair and just go down with that and throw scream.
Did you hear about our 5K?
I saw some pictures. You guys looked really
We
cute.
pink tutu'd it for charity.
I saw the one with you running. It must have been early with the chief, and you're running and you're looking at him, and he's just not. He's just looking straight ahead.
I beat him, for the record. I beat him through the bridge. At the end of the bridge, he told me we were doing a 4:35 mile, and then I just kind of laughed and waited for Steve because that wasn't gonna. And that kind of screwed us both because I was totally smoked at that point. But I'm like,
Just through the bridge?
Yes, running
Well, he was
through the bridge.
a 4:35 pace. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But I beat him through the bridge. In my defense, I thought 5K meant through the covered bridge. Got to the end of the bridge, I'm like, oh, there's more?
Yeah.
Well, running with Tim. Tim has sprint or walk. He doesn't have a jog down yet. Was it from Anchorman where he said jogging or jogging? I'm not quite sure if it's a silent
it's
J.
either a fast walk or a run, or that's about it.
Yeah, so we got to work on Tim's ability to jog.
Because we're going to do another one on June 25th, most likely. And I think Chief's going to do it again, so we're going to challenge him. But he beat us by like 3 times. We're 42-47. He was 17:05 or close to that. PJ said we should have said triple time, but then the Chief was like, I just ran the marathon. I'm not feeling it. And I think he totally played us. But so next time we'll.
So you took it easy on him.
Yeah, so we took it easy on him. I felt bad for him, Like,
Yeah.
We didn't want to. It's
Don't
better
feel bad
two
for
of us
anybody
to-
running a marathon.
I know. And he's all upset because he did it in like 2:55. And I'm like, dude, you did a marathon on 2 hours and 55 minutes. He's like, oh, it's horrible. I'm like, the winner is like 2 hours and 6. And most of the top 10 are Kenyans and stuff. They're not even American. Like, dude, that is a hard thing to do. But if I had finished a marathon at all, I would be proud of myself.
It took me 6 hours and change, and the one and only one I've ever done and will do.
Yeah, we're not ever getting the marathons. We just
No,
the
no.
5K thing. We can do this. So we raised $455 for charity. Of course,
Nice.
we matched it. We were hoping the Chief would match it, but we failed
We
at
lost
the.
the Chief.
But whatever. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it into that snack program. We haven't figured out how to get the money to the program yet because I was told if you put it if you give the check to them, that it'll go in the general fund.
Right.
Which we're not going to let that happen because we work too hard for that.
Right,
So,
and that's a thing too that I've talked about in the past, and obviously it will affect Steve, but that's why people say, how come we don't charge admission at games?
right.
Because the admission goes to the general fund.
Right.
So we switched to donation, but I'd like to switch it back to admission, but it would require, writing a new policy that goes before the school board that money can go to athletics.
Piece of cake, got an inside man right here. Do this, sell it. You can sell it.
I mean, it makes sense to me. Like, it'll
Right.
reward the.
Because
the
like I
athletes.
have
It's my own personal
like-
opinion.
those calendar posters,
Yeah.
schedule posters that
Yes.
come out. The company who does that, he sells the ads to everybody, and then he gives me a check for a couple $100 every season. I put that in an account for athletics. I have a couple of other things where we get money that way, and I put it in there, and I use that for stuff like all of a sudden we have no soccer nets. Got a big hole, and I need to go buy soccer nets for $400. So I'll, rush up to State Line, for emergency stuff. It comes in handy because it's stuff that's, especially like right now, my budget is spent.
Right.
So I have a little, anything I purchase is very, has to be very specific and it has to be very cheap.
Now, is it a policy reason why we can't just give the check to Patrice and say this is for the snack program, or?
I know it is for like
For
the
athletics,
stuff for
yeah.
athletics. It's been that way for a long, long time, and
It's usually how it is with most government-funded stuff. It's hard.
Right.
But an interview that Jeff Kessler did with you, he had said that Hunter had reached out to somebody and raised some money. So maybe there is a way to do it.
There's got to be a
where
way.
it doesn't go into the general fund. So we just got to do a little bit more research. But it's pretty awesome. We raised
yeah, that's great.
Almost
$910.
$1,000.
It's
Well, that's
So-
the thing. There have been times people, I think, have not wanted to donate money sometimes because they don't get to say where it goes.
Right, and if you donate the money,
Specifically.
you should be able to say where it goes, right? So
Right.
if I want to give you $5,000 for sports, it should be able to go there, not well. So yeah, I don't know. That's something to look into in the future.
Well, if we do get a big, like when we got the inheritance from Bob Skinner's estate at the ski shop for, it was, I think, over $90,000. It was like 10% of his,
That's awesome.
something to do with his estate. It all had to be approved by the school board, and then there were certain stipulations in there that, how it was to be used, whatever we spent the money on. If the golf team or the ski team needs that item, they have the first right to use it, which that was right in the will.
Right. Yeah, because it would be nice just to come in and say, you know what, I want to give you $1,000 for this, and it
Right.
to be easy.
I think the school board has changed the amount. The amount used to be where it had to go, like if somebody gave a $250 donation, it had to be approved, and that just adds. It's like
Right.
that's a no-brainer. That's something that admin, the principal or of that school should just be able to say yes, and then put it to the use for what it is.
Right. Right.
That's not a big item that, I don't think as a school board, I wouldn't think you'd want to micromanage 200 donated dollars to go to a snack program.
I can't speak for the board, but for myself, yeah, it just makes sense to me.
So it's something definitely to look into to try to make it.
And I
easier
just
in the
haven't
future.
done that because I don't know who I would have to take tickets. But again, I would go after kids and give them community service.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about the community service thing is, they have to have it to graduate, and so my kids, like Alicia, I think was done with community service by like freshman year, but she still would do.
But she still does stuff.
Exactly.
Like
she
if
still
I
does
went
stuff.
to her and said I needed her to do something, or if I went to Zeta and said, "Listen, I need you Thursday night because you're doing that," and she'll say, "What am I doing?" And I'll go, "Just don't worry about it. Just show up Thursday night." They would show up for me.
Exactly.
I have certain kids that
Thank you for that.
I do that, and they will do stuff for me,
Good job,
I
Zeta,
need it.
Alicia.
So
All right. So baseball, softball,
track tomorrow.
track tomorrow.
Middle school teams are on the road.
Okay.
Had to cancel the boys JV game today because
Just saw that. Yeah.
they had to move the umpires to a varsity game, which is happening, but he wants to reschedule because I want our kids, our JV boys are doing pretty well, and that'll be a nice test for them.
Good.
They'll have some good competition like they did up at Guilford the other day.
Yep.
Which was good for them. They were all fired up in school because they beat Kearsarge by a lopsided margin, but I said, what did you really gain from that?
Right.
I said, you gained a lot more losing to Guilford 11-3 than you did beating Kearsarge 31-1.
Right. Exactly.
Especially at the JV level, you need competition in play, and
Right.
so
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jeff, for coming in again.
you're welcome.
We got our repeat. That's a good thing. That means we're doing something right.
I will come and talk about sports whenever you need me.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
All right. For the Tim and Steve show, we'll talk to you later.